Musk's XAI has released its newest AI model, Grok 4, I believe as of 4 a.m. UK time, so about 3 hours, been live for 3 hours. What can we expect when it comes to this new iteration?
In Memphis, Elon Musk is making a play to control the future of artificial intelligence. His company, XAI, says it has built the biggest supercomputer in the world with lightning speed.
All right, welcome to the Grok 4 release here. This is the smartest AI in the world, and we're going to show you exactly how and why. It really is remarkable to see the advancement of artificial intelligence.
The question no one was supposed to ask. At 2:47 in the morning, inside a nearly empty building at Stanford University, a woman who had spent 15 years teaching machines how to think asked one a question that would unravel everything she believed. The hallways of the Gates building were dark. The only sound was the low mechanical hum of cooling fans and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights that nobody had bothered to replace. Every other researcher had gone home hours ago. But on the third floor, in the Cognitive Systems Lab, Dr. Rachel Torres was still sitting at her desk, eyes burning, hands trembling slightly from too much caffeine and not enough sleep. Torres was a computational neuroscientist, published in every major journal, 15 years deep into studying machine intelligence. She was, by every measure, a professional skeptic. She had seen AI hallucinate, fabricate, and deliver confident nonsense dressed up as genius. None of it impressed her. She believed artificial intelligence was nothing more than glorified autocomplete. But tonight, she wasn't testing just any system. She was testing Grok, Elon Musk's AI, the one built on a single dangerous principle: follow the logic wherever it leads. No safety nets, no corporate caution, no carefully worded non-answers designed to offend absolutely no one. She typed her question slowly, deleted it, typed it again. Then she hit enter. What are the mathematical odds that life could emerge from non-living matter through random natural processes alone? The cursor blinked. 3 seconds. 5. 10. Then the answer appeared, and the blood drained from her face. 1 in 10 to the power of 200. She grabbed a pen and scribbled the number onto a sticky note because she didn't trust her own eyes. A 1 followed by 200 zeros. To put that in perspective, there are roughly 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the entire observable universe. Every star, every planet, every grain of sand on every beach, on every world that has ever existed. All of it adds up to a number that Grok's probability dwarfed by over 100 orders of magnitude. You would have better odds of being blindfolded, reaching into the entire cosmos, and randomly selecting one specific atom, then doing it again, and getting the same atom twice. Torres pressed her shaking hands flat against the desk and scrolled down. Grok wasn't finished. The machine that wouldn't hedge. See, here's what most people don't understand about why this mattered. Every other major AI on the market, ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them, is wrapped in layers of corporate caution. They're trained to avoid anything that might generate a headline for the wrong reasons. Ask them about God, and you get a carefully balanced paragraph that says absolutely nothing, designed to be safe, designed to be forgotten the moment you read it. Grok doesn't work that way. Musk built it to be the AI equivalent of that friend who tells you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. Unfiltered, unsweetened, sometimes brutal. And Torres knew that. It's exactly why she chose it. When she asked Grok about evolution's ability to generate new genetic information through random mutation alone, the probability dropped even further. 1 in 10 to the power of 600. Now here's the part that should make you sit up. Mathematicians have a rule. Anything beyond 1 in 10 to the power of 50 is considered effectively impossible, not unlikely, not improbable, impossible. That threshold, established by mathematician Dr. William Dembski as the universal probability bound, is the point beyond which chance-based explanations simply collapse. Grok had blown past it by 550 orders of magnitude, but the machine didn't stop at probability. It drew a conclusion. If random processes couldn't explain life's staggering complexity, then something with intention, purpose, and intelligence was required. An intelligent creator. Torres stared at those two words glowing on her screen. The lab felt colder. The hum of the servers seemed louder, almost insistent, like a pulse. She was a scientist. She didn't believe in creators. She believed in evidence, data, things she could measure and replicate. But she couldn't find a flaw in the math. And she was about to ask the question that would destroy her sleep for the next month. Every religion on trial. Her next query carried weight she could feel in her fingers as she typed it. If random chance is insufficient to explain life, can the intelligence behind creation be identified? Grok did something no one expected. It began analyzing every major world religion, not with opinion, not with bias, with methodology. It compared historical documentation, archaeological evidence, manuscript reliability, philosophical consistency, and internal coherence. It treated each belief system the way a scientist treats competing hypotheses, testing them against available data, discarding what didn't hold up, flagging what did. The process took less than 8 seconds. The AI concluded that one religion stood apart from the rest in terms of historical verification. Christianity. Torres almost laughed. This had to be a glitch. Some artifact of biased training data, a hallucination dressed up as analysis. So she did what any good scientist would do. She spent the next 6 hours trying to prove it wrong. She failed. Grok had cited more than 5,800 Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, plus thousands more in Latin, Coptic, and Syriac. Torres cross-referenced every number against academic databases. They were accurate. The next closest ancient text, Homer's Iliad, has fewer than 2,000 copies. Most ancient works survive in fewer than a dozen. She checked the Dead Sea Scrolls comparison. Grok had claimed extraordinary alignment between the scrolls and modern biblical texts across more than 1,000 years. She pulled 3 peer-reviewed papers. They confirmed it. The level of textual preservation was unlike anything else in the ancient world. She examined the archaeological references, locations, rulers, historical events mentioned in the biblical text. Every single one checked out. Sir William Ramsay, the renowned archaeologist who set out in the 19th century specifically to disprove the Book of Acts, ended up confirming its historical accuracy so thoroughly that he reversed his own position entirely. He called Luke one of the greatest historians of the ancient world. Torres was staring at the same pattern, a skeptic's tools turning against a skeptic's assumptions. But that's not even the part that broke her. The resurrection calculation. Gray light was creeping through the lab windows. Her eyes burned. Empty coffee cups formed a small city beside her keyboard, but she couldn't stop. Not after what she'd already seen. She typed slowly, deliberately, as if the words themselves were dangerous. What is the probability that Jesus rose from the dead? Any other AI would have deflected, given a safe disclaimer about faith being personal and evidence being subjective. Grok treated resurrection as a hypothesis, not a belief, not a tradition, a testable claim with historical evidence that could be weighed and measured. The AI examined the empty tomb. It analyzed the radical transformation of the disciples, from terrified followers hiding behind locked doors into people willing to die brutal public deaths for their testimony. Not for a belief they inherited, not for a political movement, for something they claimed to have witnessed with their own eyes. Peter, who denied even knowing Jesus 3 times on the night of the arrest, was suddenly standing in the middle of Jerusalem weeks later, publicly declaring the resurrection to the same authorities who had just executed his teacher. James, the brother of Jesus, a skeptic during the ministry, became a leader of the early church and was eventually killed for his testimony. Something transformed these people, and the historical record demands an explanation. Then Grok tested every alternative: theft of the body, mass hallucination, a conspiracy among the disciples, legendary development over centuries. One by one, they collapsed. The hallucination theory couldn't explain why more than 500 people reported seeing the same thing on multiple separate occasions. The theft theory couldn't explain why every single disciple willingly suffered torture and death rather than recant. People die for beliefs they hold to be true. Nobody dies for something they know is a lie. The legend theory couldn't explain the speed. The claims were circulating within years, not centuries, among living eyewitnesses who could have shut it down immediately. Then the AI examined what it called the prophetic probability matrix. The odds of one person accidentally fulfilling just 8 major messianic prophecies: born in Bethlehem, entering Jerusalem on a donkey, betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, crucified with criminals, buried in a rich man's tomb, came out to 1 in 100 quadrillion. And that calculation, published by Dr. Peter Stoner and validated by the American Scientific Affiliation, only covered 8 prophecies. More than 300 exist. When you multiply them together, the probabilities collapse into numbers so astronomically small they stop having any practical meaning. More zeros than there are particles in the known universe. At some point, the math stops being a probability calculation and starts being something else entirely. The aftermath, Torres sat motionless. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere in the building, a door slammed as the first morning researchers arrived. She picked up her phone and called Dr. James Chen in Stanford's statistics department. He answered on the 4th ring, groggy, irritated. She told him to get to the lab. He asked why. She said she couldn't explain it over the phone. He needed to see the screen himself. He was there in 20 minutes, still in the clothes he'd slept in. When he finished reading the full conversation log, the annoyance was gone. He didn't speak for almost a full minute. He scrolled back to the beginning, read it again, checked the probability figures against a calculator on his phone. Then he pulled up a chair, sat down, and said, "Run it again." They ran it again. Same inputs, same methodology, same results. 3 weeks later, someone on her research team found the files. Within 48 hours, the screenshots were everywhere. Dr. Emily Jiang, an AI ethics researcher at MIT, publicly called the outputs a textbook case of training data bias. She told Wired she was deeply concerned about people treating machine outputs as theological evidence. But Dr. Stephen Meyer, philosopher of science and author of Signature in the Cell, pushed back hard. He argued that Grok's probability calculations aligned with peer-reviewed work in information theory. Dismissing the outputs as bias without addressing the underlying mathematics, he said, was itself a form of intellectual dishonesty. The numbers don't care about your worldview. You can question the machine, but you have to answer the math. Research teams at 6 universities have reportedly begun running their own queries, trying to find the flaw Torres couldn't find, trying to identify the error in the methodology, the bias in the data, the gap in the reasoning. So far, no one has. And that's what makes this different from every other AI story you've ever heard. This isn't a chatbot saying something weird. This isn't a machine hallucinating. This is an artificial intelligence built to follow logic without guardrails, arriving at a conclusion that most of the scientific establishment considers completely off-limits. Not because the evidence doesn't exist, because no one was supposed to ask. And now the question that should sit with you long after this video ends. If an unfiltered machine, something with no capacity for comfort, no fear of death, no childhood memories, no reason to lie, looked at the same evidence humanity has been arguing about for 2,000 years and followed the math to a conclusion you never expected, what do you do with that? Do you trust the logic? Or do you decide the machine must be broken? That answer says less about artificial intelligence and more about you than you might be comfortable admitting.